We're now in INDEX02, and the difference here now is that although we've got our cat query here where we've returned the hard-coded version where the carer name was Sally and the age was 3, we can also define the cat type. Notice the capital C doesn't mean anything, but it differentiates. It's saying that this type cat here is basically being resolved by this function here. So the first thing we can do is let's just comment out all of this. And there and down here just for completeness. That's all working here. If we come back into our ground, close this one here and refresh, we get exactly the same as before, all the hard-coded version, and we can see down here at the bottom here, well, we're not logging things out, so I've not logged out up here, but we could keep those. Let's just do that, and if we then do it again and refresh, we'll see we get the same sort of output as before. Sorry, wrong one. Do this one here. Do that, do a refresh. There we see all the details coming through. So what we'll do now is we'll uncomment this cat. And we're saying that the cat name is now something different. In fact, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cat name, just calling it cat.catName, meaning basically we're just showing back there's a little error here. Take this up here, do that. That's it, missing that one there. So now what we're doing is when we come down to cat, rather than hard coding the resolution up in here, because it knows no different of what a cat is, we're extending back, and this goes back to showing that when we have cat here, it doesn't define exactly what this must be. It just says this is what the shape must be. It must be in the shape of a carer named cat and dog object. So long as we return that, it is happy. But now what we want to do is, having done that back, we want to actually go down into those fields. And for example, in the cat name, we just want to replace it with cat.catName. The age, we want to give it a random number. And the carer here, that's what I was doing wrong before. I take that out and undo this. The carer name is basically just given by this with the dog. We're overwriting it. So if we come back down here now, and if we go in here, refresh the schema, do this, we get cat.catName, cat.cat.carer, the age is a random number, and this is in query cat.carer. So when we come in here, and in fact this should be a capital C here to avoid confusion, query.cat.carer. This is in fact cat.carer, it's not query. So the object we're in is in cat, which is a top level one, same level as a query. It's come down to cat, and it's giving us cat.age here, and here we're getting cat.carer, and the carer, and then we're just putting that as the name here and the dog here. So these will overwrite these individual fields. So if we come back here, refresh, so for example with our age, we may stick with the top level age of 3, which is what we hard coded here. If we now take out this and don't resolve it at this level, refresh, we should get back 3, and there we do. So what we can see is basically with our objects here, we're defining the shapes of things up here. When it comes to cat, when it comes to the original query for cat, initially it only knows this, so it resolves this, but it knows that it can also have other resolving fields here in cat, because it's a graph, it has all the interconnections, and so like in this example here, it can then overwrite the previous value. And again, same here, cat.carer, that is the object. So in this one we've seen basically how, a bit like with CSS, that we can overwrite the properties as we work our way down. Initially we go to query.cat and get a return of that, and that contains query.cat.carer or .age, but that can then be resolved by just cat.age and cat.catName because of the links in the GraphQL. So if we want to do that, and we also saw before in parts, cars and parts, how we were basically able to, was it course 03 or was it course 1? Cars and parts, how we could pass all of our top level all the way down to the bottom and have everything resolved by the actual object type. So this is just the understanding of resolutions of the functions and how basically it's parent and child, and the lower down we go, the higher is its permanence, and it overwrites the previous values.